and all her son's 21st birthdays.
Never done one of them. Done a few students for you.
Yeah, a lot of our students are working now.
First thing I do is take off the breast of lamb. Yeah, you make it look so easy. I've been doing it only for a few years. Sorry? No, it doesn't need to be hung as long, really. I mean, it will improve with age, but maybe 2 to 3 days, 4 days tops. Where beef you could hang, you could hang up to 6 weeks. It's. So the first job, literally, I'm going to break this down into primal, so they're a bit more manageable. The first 2 bits that come off breast of lamb. The next thing I'm going to take off is the legs. Right. What I do, literally cutting off that would have been its tail, which you can't really do a great deal with. I'm just going to remove some of the fat, and there's obviously bits and pieces that you wouldn't want to eat on this. Right, if I come back to them, you've got what we call the forequarter, which is this front part, which is where you get your shoulders, your neck of lamb fillets, things like that. Six bones of the, because the high forequarter. So we count 6 bones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cut it there, you saw down. That should leave you an ideal 7-bone best end. What a lot of butchers or catering butchers are doing now, you buy best ends, they put 8 bones on it, which gives you a bit of a bone onto this one, which is not ideal. Sometimes, but for the catering market, they find if they're supplying restaurants, then the chef might put 3 lots of 2 bones as a portion, instead of having 2 lots of 2 and 1 3, which some person fine dining. You're looking at the guy next to you, and he seems like he's got a bigger chop, bigger than he sort of might moan.
The correct for a best end is 7.
7 bone, yeah. Right, so I'm just going to take the shoulders off this one. All animals in this country, but they are quite heavily monitored by the sort of local authorities on how they do it, how skilled they are. Obviously, not to cause any distress to the animal.
Skills is actually getting so close to the bone and leaving no meat on the bone, because that's where profit gets wasted.
And his knives are sharp.
And his sword.
And there's what?
Most of the time.
He's making a West Indian dish, like curry goat. That's the cut all the pieces of bone in it.
All the scrag is after the remaining ribs, isn't it?
This is a scrag, yep, sorry. What you would do, where the ribs end, the remaining bits of scrag, this is what called the bit that's left is called the middle neck, which there's 2 ways of preparing it for eating. One of which is just to bone it, lamb fillets, which is my favourite cut of lamb, because you can do anything with it, from kebabs, or pan, fry it, roast it. The other one is to split it down, and treat it like a cheaper best end. Carries a bit more bone, but price reflected is a little cheaper. You can barbecue it, or do loads of stuff with it, really. No, I ain't going to do it. I'm just going to chop this one up for you. This basically is stewing lamb. It's lovely cooking, there's a lovely flavour out of that. Let's take the lamb fillets off. Yeah, really nice. Bones, what I would do normally is spend a bit of time cleaning them up. And you'd go into like mince, basically nice lean mince lamb. Again, as a butcher, you pay for the whole animal. You need to utilise as much as you can off it. The only thing you literally waste is bones. You can't do nothing. Right, let's go to the middle. Right, this bit we'd call in the trade a chine and end. This bit's the chine, and that's your end. Obviously, best end is where it gets named for that. I don't know where this gets the name as a chine. Also called it a saddle, which is where you might know it as a saddle of lamb. You've got kidneys, let's come off. Quite easy. In there.
Where did you learn all this?
Just basically an apprentice. Yeah, when I was 16, I started working in a shop in the West End. Spent 5-6 years there learning the trade, and then from there went up the West End as such to Selfridges, and I was there for about another 6 years there. I got to position as supervisor, stroke assistant manager. But they sent us on various courses. Obviously knew the basics, but then they sort of reinvested in sort of different cutting techniques and things like that. Yeah, and that was it really. That was 30 odd years ago.
So what made you think initially that actually, I want to cut animals?
I want to be a carpenter. Yeah, don't ask me how the two get related. But it was a recession, and there was no work, and basically, my dad went to family. I used to, where I was born, where I used to live, was in a market, and my dad was a butcher's, and he was looking for someone. You're going to take a job. That's it. You ain't got a choice, and that's basically and I never sort of looked back. Yes, that's it really.
But you obviously enjoyed it to carry on doing it anyway.
I just didn't know nothing else, really. I didn't listen to my teachers. That's the problem.
Yeah, we're done.
Well, you must do because you're standing here. So you educate yourself, listen to everything. And what I decided to do when I realised this is what I'm doing, I try to be the best at it I possibly can. So you never stop learning. So if it's something, might think you're a bit boring, or you're looking into, butchery, but I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, let's be the best, as much as I can do anyway. And it's sort of held me pretty steady. It's going to be, have a living as such, Right, back to this job. This your best end. This is something that you guys will. Sorry.
This end.
Blade bone. Sorry. Yeah.
Just the tip of the shoulder blade.
Yeah, tip of the shoulder blade, which sits in there. No good. Tough as anything. You don't want it in your best end. So you pull that out. Right, what I'm going to do with this best end, I'm just going to chine it. Which is this middle bone. By removing it, enables you to basically, you can do anything. You'll be able to slice it straight through. Have got to be careful when you do it, not to go too much into the meat. You'll hear the tone of the saw change, which tells you into the meat through the bone into the meat. And then again, with your knife. It's a very expensive cut, this bit, so you really do try to.
Did you hear that,
sort
guys?
of keep.
It's a very expensive cut that you've been cutting, so you've been chining it. It's a very expensive cut.
Is that why you shout at us?
When you bugger it up, excuse my French, what am I supposed to do with that? Not that I've ever been here, I know that, but I can imagine it worse to that effect. I can imagine. That's probably a polite version, was it? But it is, so yield is, that eye there is sacred. I mean, and restaurants pay so much money for that. And the world, that's the cut that probably you come into contact with throughout your career as chefs, I would have thought.
Alex, you was doing this then,
Actually, a question on the two, isn't it? It's still forever.
I thought some of the left the table, haven't you?
No, but ask my level ones to come in, but we'll have things to do.
I'm just going to French trim both of these. One is a little bit longer than the other, which your ears.
Chris, do you want me and you done? Of course you can.
Yeah.
Let's go and eat a nice bit. Joe, let's see how quickly we can make it. Since it took Joe like to do one.
Yeah, how long did it take to do that, James? One?
Oh, it took us about an hour to do
An hour to do
like-
one.
Yeah.
See?
Wasn't very much, that's like.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, quickest. Makes it so easy. Takes like an hour.
Don't worry, I've cut myself so many times. My first 2 weeks in the butcher shop, I had a cut for every single day. And the last day I stuck an S hook in my foot just to crown it off. Just to round it off. So I thought, I think I run out of fingers. So, but you do learn to, sorry, you do learn to not leave your hands in the way. If that slips, also, you know, we've got sort of youngsters working with me. I'm showing them, literally, you must remember, if that knife slips, where's your body going to be? And not just fingers, I'm talking about torso as well. I've stuck myself twice in there with a knife, stabbed myself twice. And that's just, you know, you don't do it again. I've done it twice. I should have learnt the first two.
Do you use Kevlar gloves at all?
No, I've never. No. I mean, if you was factory working, you'd have to. I think by sort of insurance purposes. But no, that was when I was at the West End. When I stabbed myself, I was boning out rump and loins, but it had been hung for quite a long while, so it's quite hard to get through.
The boning knife is the most dangerous one in the kitchen.
Yeah.
With different angles.
Do you know what those gloves are that they was talking about, guys? Like chain mail, very fine chain mail. That's like a...
Well, you get Kevlar, which is like a motorbike sort of thing.
Bulletproof armour.
mesh.
Eh?
Bulletproof armour.
Yeah, Kevlar, yeah.
Well, actually, that's bulletproof.
What we do, we normally clean them up a little bit better than that.
Guys, so what have you learned? You've learned to, when you're doing this, they make something that looks like this, and then it's our job then to make sure they are absolutely spotless. It's really,
Yeah, I would be
on
happy.
that bun, cooks and changes the appearance. And that's the difference between good quality place and something that just turns it out.
There's various things you can do with that. The guard of honour. You could turn it into a crown of lamb, which is where you basically turn them back to back. But I'm just going to leave those like that. Guys, yeah, shall I? Right, then we've got this cut here. This is called your chine or your saddle, which is what you traditionally get your lamb chops from, what you know as lamb chops in the butcher's window. And just take out a bit of fat and just start.
If it was bugging out, you should be in your house doing this. Take them out.
The cut rump of lamb, does that come from the...
That's coming from
chumps,
these,
is it?
yeah, chumps, which I'll show you. That's going to
Right, Canada lamb.
Canada lamb, right, basically Canada lamb is with that and follow that seam right way through. That's one of the most expensive cuts of lamb because it's so wasteful. everything you see that's not here is not going in the bin. But I know catering people that supply British Airways the business class. I think they're like £30 a kilo, cannons of lamb they're charging.
Yeah, if we were to do carrot, we just use the best bit.
That's weird.
That's it.
Do you need such big knives?
Well, the thing is, you've got 2 knives. I mean, the more knives you have, you can probably get away with a smaller knife, but you've got more chance of picking up the knife or cutting yourself. So basically, I mean, normally I would have a bit more space. These would be over there, but obviously we're a space restriction. You only really need 2 knives. Some parts of the lamb you could probably get away with. I have broke a lamb down just using a bony knife. That's literally when the lambs are younger, you can get through. These bones are quite soft, so when I've used a saw with them, you can literally pull it through. And then you find, see these joints, these vertebrae joints, you can actually go through them with a knife rather than have to use a chopper.
You can roast that, you can't roast it.
Sorry?
You can roast that as it is.
Yeah, I would always whip the bone out. I mean, this has got called chumps of lamb. Well, both you, yeah. These are lamb chumps or lamb rumps, as Nick tells you, roast them. Again, it's a favourite cut of mine because it's the versatility, you can do anything with it. What I'm going to do is just bone it out. Basically, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of restaurants actually serving rumps of lamb now, isn't it? Where they'd probably cut that in 2 and serve that as 2 portions. What you can also do with, sorry? Yeah. Again, it's one of them
I don't
cuts.
really got that 2 portions,
What's that, sorry?
I don't really got that 2 portions.
I think that's your favourite, one of your favourite cuts, I remember you saying.
That's a half portion.
When you go to the butchers,
Yeah.
why is there sawdust on the floor?
Well, sawdust, traditionally, you can't use it no more, but it used to be to soak up blood, because if you mix water and fat, which you probably well know, if you spill some fat in here, someone puts a bit of water in it, it's like an ice rink, isn't it? Well, you don't want to go over with that in your hand and all of a sudden find your mate's leg as you go down, do you? So that's the idea is, yeah, but you can't use it. A lot of modern flooring is better now, but back in the days, it was nice shiny tiles, put a bit of blood with it and a bit of fat, and it's a nightmare. Again, do you want me to leave these like this, Nick, or do you want me to cut them through? Yeah? Okay. Another little cut we like to do with these, make them a bit straighter, is, you've probably seen these because I've supplied these to you, but they're little boneless steaks, little lamb steaks. They're lovely. That one I'm going to leave just like that, yeah? This other bit, saddle of lamb. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these into Barnsley chops for you, which is like traditional double lamb chops, but you can roast it as a saddle. You can bone and roll it, and that will give you noisettes of lamb, or narzettes. That's another cut. But I'm just literally going to cut these into chops so you've got an idea. There's 2 ways actually, I'll show you. Right. We talk about going through the bone with a vertebrae. Well, you don't need a chopper, which is what I'm going to do with these ones. Not really.
bones, how much would they sell for the shop?
At the moment, we're selling these around about a bad price, around about £10 a kilo. So, I mean, they are big and chunky. Something like that probably weighs about 400, 500 grams. So they probably cost you about five, I suppose, 4.5, 5. But that is it's a big lump of meat. It's a nice hearty meat
for £5.
But people still use it. It's convenient. Right, leg of lamb. What I'm going to do for this one is lamb shank, which you probably will recognise. And what I'm looking for here is basically the joint, which is I'm not finding straight away.
Is the shank always from the hind leg?
Always from the hind leg. You can get a forecourt shank, but there's nothing on it. A lot of these sort of restaurants, 3 if you were to buy frozen lamb shanks, that's what they'll supply you, and there's nothing on them really. This is where the shanks should come off the forecourt, the hind quarter. I'll ask a silly question here. It's a bit of a catch question. It's how many legs has a lamb got? So, how many?
Two legs, two arms.
So it's two legs, two shoulders. But a lot of people think lambs. Another interesting fact: every
Animal is
couple.
the same as us. We're
Exactly.
just walking up on our hind legs. Yeah.
If you was to ever butcher a person, which I advise you not to, you would find exactly the same seams and cuts that you and I have got.
Was it on you, Joe?
Sorry?
Little cannon.
Right, basically, it's your lamb shank, which you probably know, a nice slow roast job. Leave it with the remainder of the leg.
Have we done a bone that leg this year?
No,
Okay, well, guess what you're putting on your menu next? Who's next menu? Danny?
Guys, I don't need to present it. He just no, I did one today. Yeah.
Okay guys, you're back in
He should
front.
have done today.
Just took that H bone out. They call it H bone, don't ask me why.
It's shaped like a H.
Don't know. Is it well? I've never noticed it.
Oh yeah, you've got to do that.
It's part of the hip.
Yes, it's actually the pelvis, isn't it? What? The way I'm boning this leg out, it's called a tunnel boning. There is an easy way of doing it, but by doing it this way, it basically keeps the meat in one piece. So if you come to carve it, say you was serving, serving anyone, you want nice slices of meat and stay in one piece. This is the way you'd want it boned.
This is great for stuffing, this is for tunnel boning. It's got a natural seal.
Showed us doing chicken.
Yeah, we haven't done the balancing yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, something.
Butterfly or not? What's better for you guys? With this one, I'm going to butterfly it, which is basically once you've got it boneless, you angle your knife at a sort of 90-degree angle, cut it horizontally, and we cut it just about 3/4 of the way through the animal. And then leave it. Basically, it leaves the shape of a butterfly, which of sort of barbecuing or sort of slow roasting. Is that one? Do you want me to bone both, Nick? So,
Yeah, we'll both.
yeah, you'll do this.
How much would this lamb cost?
Lamb, this week in particular, because of the demand, prices do fluctuate because of obviously demand. Being Easter 2 days away, 2 or 3 days away, this lamb's cost 160 quid.
20 long.
How much did you get from the meat? Like, each piece?
Profit.
That's 160 quid into you guys. That if I was to resell this, you'd probably get about 200 quid back. It was just under. But by doing it sort of bulk, obviously you can do it at a better price, and obviously do catering prices. So, but normally this wouldn't be as dear. It's probably about 20 quid dearer than what it should be at the moment, and that is purely because Easter's around the corner. I went down to buy legs of lamb, so bought straight carcass. I also got quite a few orders for legs of lamb for Easter, and I paid £2 a kilo more this morning than what I did last week. It's just purely because there's no lamb about.
Is that driven by supermarkets buying?
It's just literally, basically what they're doing. I mean, they've got the lambs, but by selling all the legs, if people just want legs, then they're stuck with chops. So they can't put the price into that to get the money back. The money's got to go onto the item everyone wants, and that's where you get the. Obviously, it's really expensive. I mean, tomorrow, next week, back to normal. But everyone wants fresh lamb for Easter, don't they? So it's a supply and demand scenario. It's like turkey's Christmas. You pay so much money for good turkey's Christmas. Boxing Day, literally, you throw them out the door. The demand's not there.
I don't see why turkey's not more popular.
I think so. I make you right. I think it's a great cut, especially for roast, and it's reasonable, really. Considering it's sort of boneless, you can buy the boneless butts. Sort of good value for money, a good yield out of them.
Do you know, Paul was talking about the butterfly, in like Turkish restaurants and things like that. Some places you'll go, they'll put it on these skewers and they'll wriggle that for your whole. You pay a premium, you might share between 4.
But you can also get the leg steaks right the way through. What would you prefer me to do? Would you?
I'm easy.
Yeah?
You've all seen the leg of lamb, haven't you?
Yeah? So do you want it cut into steaks?
Steaks, yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll have a butcher's.
Have a butcher's. Tell you what, in my previous life, I used to be a comedian.
You sometimes leave the bone in there.
Yeah. Do like jigget chops. Yeah. As I said, there's so many varieties of cuts that you can get from a lamb.
How long have you had these knives for?
These, about 20 odd years, 25 years, believe it or not. But you look after them, then you look after your children, they look after you. I mean, that started a lot bigger. That bony knife has shrunk over the years through sort of sharpening. It's going to be a bit. Cheers.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if I had one of these on a plate, I'd be well happy.
Like all of them.
That one, yeah. Try and get away with it. Okay. So, you do these bones. All bin them, yeah?
So that's the butterfly. Okay, so in a Turkish restaurant, yeah, you might get this. No, this will probably be 3 or 4 out of this. You probably have to pre-order this as well, okay? And they'll just put that on the coals. And they'll just keep turning it, basting it, different flavours. That's that one.
Come round and like. And you got the coaster, isn't it?
Yeah, so yes,
Coaster.
Right. Shoulder of lamb. Always carries a bit of fat in the corner.
How many of these do you roughly do a day?
I very rarely buy straight lambs nowadays. I do sometimes, but we would use, say this cut here, the chine. They would probably sell about 15 of them on a Wednesday at Romford this morning. I bought about 20 of those, and that should be gone by today. Then I'll place an order and get some more in, depending on how busy they were. But it does vary really. Summertime, lamb's quite popular for barbecues. Tend to put like a mint seasoning on it, which
do like a lot of barbecue packs and
yeah, do packs, knock them up, kebabs and stuff like that. Which is all homemade, handmade, I should say. A lot of the stuff you get in the supermarket is sort of reprocessed. If they do a kebab, it's very rarely chunks of real meat. It tends to be sort of like how do you call it? Reformed meat. Yeah.
A bit like chicken Kiev things, they're just rubbish that's been reformed.
Yeah, it's not even real meat really.
Chicken Kiev, you get
You grew chicken yesterday, like that.
I don't like
good.
chicken.
It's good stuff.
Do you know that reformed meat? You know how they get that off the chicken? They put all the carcasses where they've taken all the breast meat off and the legs and the thighs. And what they do is they shoot it with like a jet wash. And then that goes into a slurry pit at the bottom. And then, sorry, but then the water is in it. And the water is then separated off it. And then in that, you get every bit of meat, fat, carcass, all the rubbish. And then they bleach it, the meat that's left. They reform it, that's why it's called reform, into things like chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what
Mechanically recovered meat, they call it, MRM. It tends to go all into sort of cheap sausages, cheap burgers. Right. That shoulder of lamb, I've literally just boned it. What we do sometimes in the shop, we'll stuff it with a seasoning onion. It's quite boring, but we're not sort of good chefs like you guys, or find something really nice to stuff it with. And then we'll put it into the shape of a cushion. Yeah, well, I've got one, but I forgot to pick it up. I picked all the string up, but not that. It's a bit of a fiddly process. It's very old, that. It's probably older than us lot put together, I would have thought.
they go, come through the middle, up, and then that's the butcher's knife. Remember the butcher's knife I showed you?
You do a bit slower.
Yeah. It's not the easiest not to. It is. Well, it is. It isn't.
Remember I said practice round the bottle of pop bottle? Yeah?
No, you said the towels for the bathroom.
Yeah, our towels, yeah. I wouldn't use your towels after you've washed yourself with them, Chris.
Right. So basically, you're going around under.
Once a fortnight.
Whenever it rains.
Whenever it rains.
Guys, anybody want to have a go?
No.
Yeah, go on, Harry.
Oh, go on, Harry.
Go on, Harry.
Go on,
Come on, Harry. Don't need gloves. You're okay. Yeah.
Nick's just not quite as fast. He's not quite the butcher he once was.
Still got it though, haven't I?
Still better than you.
Not much take on me, I think.
Still got it.
You still got it.
It makes it so easy.
Just basically, just go through the eye there.
Why not? Why wouldn't you have to go everything?
No,
take up the slack.
Alex.
Okay.
Come on, have to do it.
Over.
Me?
Round the 2. You don't know. Over 2.
Oh, yeah.
Round, back over yourself.
This is standard.
But I've done it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
I think it
Through. So where do you think it's up?
What, through that way or through that way?
Over, you're going over the number. Or over and over. So does that mean?
Let's have that. Okay. Right, I'm going to let you start, make you start again if that's all right, because it's very hard. Okay, so your hands like that, yeah, so basically all you're doing is flipping that bit over there. And then just literally tie it around. There, yeah? Okay?
I'll do it, try and do it.
So the bit you want to move is the bit at the end, I think that's it.
Oh, it's all coming apart.
Okay. That's wonderful. Sometimes when it starts doing that, yeah, so it cuts it in.
We need to do the rest of
What you playing at
Brilliant.
It's like a zombie, just like crawling away.
So what you do, move it up, and you can pull it down, put it like that. Like this bit. That's it. Keep going, a bit more. That's it, and tie it off.
Oh yeah, I got that still on the first turn.
Well done, Harry.
Well done. Harry! Yeah, I really can still on the first turn. I'm going to do it.
Make a butcher out of you yet, Harry.
Make an excuse.
I won't keep you too much longer, we're nearly there.
I love it, yeah, I did the first time.
Yeah, he's not even the butcher, he's just turned
It's
up.
like 3, 2, 1.
Found me wandering down the
No,
road.
I don't get it. I'm very serious.
So how would you portion that up? Like, wizard to it?
That's what I said to Nick when I said I was going to do this as demo. This is more of a retail cut. It looks great in presentation, but it ain't the best way of cutting this because one, you've got a lot of string, and two, the ideal way when you roll a piece of meat, you roll it with a grain, so you're rolling it from one end to the other. So you guys, when you cook it, would slice it, where this would be very bitty, and some, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but we would do it in the shop just to sell, based on, as a presentation thing, because the customer would get this back, have a bit of a dinner party, and say, oh look, look what I've got here. But it's not the best thing to portion up. You know what I mean?
You do it with a leg as well.
You can do it with a leg. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward, bit more awkward with a leg. Where the shoulder's more sort of manipulable, to sort of put into a shape, where a leg's quite firm.
You don't even see what you do the not.
The thing is, where this is, butchery is a very time, like chef, being a chef is very time consuming. And obviously manpower is money, so what you tend to do is it's a very labour intensive job. It's you get very quick at doing things which, Christmas I think in the SAG, I think I counted 10,000 knots I'd done in a week, rolling up different bits. I know it's a sad thing to do, to count how many knots you was doing. But that was just to break the monotony because you're sort of stuck in the shop 12, 14 hours a day. So obviously the faster you do it, the sort of more production. So something like that, you put some herbs over that, nice glazed cherry or little cherry tomato in the middle, put that in the window and sell it itself. Customers go, I'll have that. It's nice.
I love that.
You have that. There you go. Right, nearly there. Got one more shoulder. Predominantly shoulders of lamb. Nowadays it's curries, stews or kebabs. The shoulder market in Smithfield Market is massive, and it's mainly to go into your Turkish restaurants, because all your donas is made from shoulder meat.
Burger sauce.
Burger sauce.
Chili sauce we've done.
Chili sauce.
Yeah.
And the reason this is better, because it carries a bit more fat, it always eats better than the leg, where the leg can be a bit dry if you was to sort of barbecue it.
Did you get a real taste of feet? But at the same time, he has to rebuild the barn each time to invest in.
Is it really confusing when you first learn what to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Well, one bit of meat looks like another,
yeah.
and it takes, on average, about 3 years to become a butcher.
That's all a whole college life.
Yeah, there's a lot of cuts and there's a lot of variation of cuts. And the thing is, obviously, if you're working with someone and you start mucking meat up, whether you're working as a butcher or a chef, I mean, this stuff here is expensive, and if you bugger it up, they're not going to be able to get their money back. So, first 2 years, or a year and a half, I wasn't allowed near English lamb because it's just too expensive. You've obviously got to learn your knife skills, your chopping skills. If I chop it in the wrong way, as a joke, not a joke, as an example, I nearly put 2.5 kilo, about £5 piece of fillet steak through the mincer, where I thought it was a shin of beef. You know, and it's disaster. What are you doing? Yeah, so I wasn't. No, he wasn't pleased. He caught me just in time because just started to cut it. Managed to salvage it, so I thought it was a shin of beef. They looked very similar. But I thought. Best bit of meat, steak tartare. So if you're looking at some of this butchery, is not the best, guys, only because I'm sort of rushing a little bit. There shouldn't be that much meat left on these bones.
That's the blade bone, isn't it?
It's the blade bone coming out.
Tip
Yeah,
that was what was in the best end.
that's it. Yeah, that bit there was left on your best end. And again, you could use this as a rolling joint, stuff it. I wasn't going to just roll this in the traditional way. What you ever find if you get your meat from a butcher's, if you go off and get a job in a year or two's time, whatever, the way the strings are tied will tend to be the best, was the way that the butcher would encourage you to slice it. And that's why I say that cut there is quite hard, you know, because you'll get it, oh bloody hell, what way do I cut it? You know, it's where the strings go, because that's where the grain of the meat would go, and the best slices would come out.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It really sounds like you just tap his tongue.
Yeah.
It's like a Baptist.
About these? Right, breast of lamb.
That was quite a good one.
Traditionally the cheapest part of the lamb, although again through the popularity of Turkish restaurants lately, it's becoming quite expensive. But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you put these in the bin, you could afford to. Now it's what all the restaurants want, or certainly the Turkish restaurants. What I'm going to do with this one, I'm just going to bone and roll it. And again, so you can stuff this with sage and onion or something a bit fancy.
It's nice, it gets to What's that wash up? Put it out of hand.
I can guarantee you that. Whatever it is.
Something taken 18 April 15th.
It's basically just a slow roaster. The last one I'm going to show you is a lot of, again, keep talking about Turkish restaurants because they use a hell of a lot of lamb. Is something.
If you run with the breast of lamb, would you normally take the skin off the bar?
Very hard to do. It's very hard to get off the breast of lamb. It's no, you'd normally leave it. You'd have to maybe score it just to help break it up a little bit. But it's hard to get off the breast of lamb. You could take it off the best end, which is probably how I should prepare a best end. But where this is quite fresh, and it would be easy to get it off.
Sometimes quite brittle, and you just sort of
It's yeah. When it dries out a little bit, it just comes off.
When I've done breast before, it's that happy bit in the middle, it's like the diaphragm.
This bit, yeah.
I always take that off, I don't think it's too tough, is it? Should I leave that on?
Yeah, we'll leave it. I mean, what I'm going to do with this is going to go niblets, which are a lot of Turkish restaurants do. The lamb ribs now, don't they? Which is one of you're trying to keep a bit of meat on them. There's not masses on it, but I tend to. Well, they'll cut that off and put it in the mince or something like that. Yeah, that's your hanger steak, which is very popular now. It's exactly the same cut as what it would in the beef. Yeah, which is diaphragm steak or hanger steak.
Breast of lamb, long slow cooking, great, yeah. So, lots of fat bits, so good lots of fat comes off. Also, it's stuck.
Yeah, and it's got a half a ticket.
Is there more money selling this, like this, with breast, than bone and rolling?
I think bone and rolled it. I mean, we've bone and rolled it for convenience, for ease. It depends on who you're trying to sell it to. If you're in the middle of Romford Market and you've got majority sort of elderly people, then we would do this with it. In the summer, we maybe sort of younger people coming around looking for stuff for barbecue, then we would do this with it, which we'd put in some sort of a commercial butcher's mint glaze or a garlic and rosemary glaze. Leave it to marinate for sort of 24 hours, and then sell them on packs as lamb spare ribs. And that's it, guys. Basically, I don't think there's any bit more I can show you apart from how to clean up. But
I think they'll be experts at that.
yeah,
Right.
Thank you.
you're welcome. I found it a bit enlightening.